Although I'm, a refugee, former refugee, and from Afghanistan, all wired up. Don't worry. I was brought up in a very, Sufi Buddhistic tradition. I'm very peaceful. I have 10 minutes to tell you the story of which started 33 years ago, and obviously it won't fit. So I'll be just telling you, snapshots of 33 years. How many of you have kids? And how many of you have nephews and nieces at the age of, I don't know, from 8 to now? Quite a lot. I was 11 when it started for me, the journey. My father was, back in Afghanistan, if you are not a rightist politician, then you are, by definition, a communist. If you are a communist or not, it doesn't matter. As long as you are not a leftist Islamist, you are a communist. So my father was considered as a communist, which he was not. And when the communistic regime came to fall, many things changed, and I had an elder sister, and I was, the biggest, the older boy in the family. For many reasons, my parents thought it's for me safer to, to just flee with a group of people I didn't know. I could have been, from sexually misused to taken to the front lines to whatever you think of. That was one reason. The other reason was my mom is illiterate, and because my father was a politician from a few generations, so again and again and again, every year we built up something, it got either stolen and plundered or whatever, so we were actually very poor. Our ground was taken and our gardens were taken, and anything that we had actually moved from one village to the other village, and a group came and it took it from us, and we had to flee. So we were a very poor life. My mom illiterate, but every year we went in a new village, for example, and then she looked up, and there was kind of a carpenter, and she said, in addition to school, maybe you can go to him and learn something. So 3 months, a student of a carpenter, and then we had to move to the next village, and then she found something else, for 3 months there, and that is like my life before I flee Afghanistan. So at the age of 11, my parents decided to send me away in the hope for a peace of mind, a better future. Because my mom, she called us always the great man of future. And she wanted us to become this great man of future. And every time, I remember coming from school and all these books. Back then I didn't know. When I read out of my school books for my mom, she cries. Now I know that, the pain of not being able to read. She believed in us very much, the same as my father. So they sent me with 2 sentences away. My father said, embrace the unknown as long as it's not at the cost of your own identity. So be always yourself, but be also open to everything you come across. And my mom said, whenever you miss me, now I'm getting a bit emotional, I'm sorry for this. Whenever you miss me, like, you can run to any mom. If it's a mom, she will understand you. She will understand that you are in need of mom. But the life for me in the Netherlands, it took 2 years. I'd save you the details. But after 2 years, I finally ended up in Amsterdam. It is a totally different story than Layla's, because I was not that welcome. And the airport in Schiphol, where the group I was, and there was an elder man who had my share of money with him, and so they took my money and they left, and I was there at Schiphol airport for 84 hours. And along the way, our experience with different policemen to different countries, you get bit up and everything. So the policeman, that's the last one you go to. But after 84 hours, with just a small bag on my shoulders and 2 Persian books, I was like shivering of hunger. I had no choice, so I went to the policeman. And I was told, don't speak to the police, don't tell them that I spoke a little English. And I repeated one sentence, refugee from Afghanistan. And they I think there was now I think from Suriname or something, an agent who spoke Urdu came to me, and I said, no, I don't speak. And finally, a Persian agent came, an Iranian, and he was very tall, and I was very short, so he went on his knees to, to become at the same height, and he told me, like, no worries, and he took me into the police station. And now I knew that there was his butter ham, sandwich he gave me. And then he went out and brought me some food, and usually then they buy you a train ticket, and you go to Zevenaar. There was a centrum, and they interview and stuff. But I was too young, so they called a taxi, and the taxi brought me there. Interview, and you go to the opvangcentrum in Lochem somewhere. So for me, I was 13 when all this is happening. So at that age, I remained only 3 months in Lochem, and after that, I was transferred to Amsterdam with a letter, of course, saying that I was very good at math and I was very good at language, and that I at least have to go to a HAVO. But when I came to Amsterdam, that was not the case. You go then, it's called Nova College back then you go there, it's called MAVO, AVO. And then when you finish that, then you go to MAVO, and then et cetera, et cetera. So in the beginning, at the very first session, there was the question, what do you want to become? Back then, I wanted to become a doctor and an eye surgeon, because my grandma was suffering on the eye. I said, okay, I'll become a doctor, I'll go back, I help her and the rest of the village. So that was the aim. I told her the first time I want to become a doctor, the teacher said, yeah, but that's impossible for you. A, you don't speak the language. B, you lack this cultural baggage. And C, then she take like kind of this big map of school. So you see, when you are finished, then you will be here in MAVO. And so it ends all this. So you can become a baker, or you can become whatever. But doctor, you have to see this and this. And even the Dutch children cannot do that, so it is not for you. So you can better go and focus. I said, no, I was very stubborn. And I said, no, I'll become a doctor. And no, you can't. And so it took me 2 years, actually. And again and again, and once a week, we were like, they took us to actually, they call it automonture. They call it like, how to learn to cook, how to learn to bake, and and then we told, you're very practical, you are very good with your hands, you can do this, and you can go and you work, and you build a life and stuff. But I wanted to become a doctor. So finally, a teacher, Mr. Nolet, Murray Nolet, he was my Dutch teacher. And every year, within the 6 months, actually, I was done with the material. There was nothing for me. So he brought me newspapers and magazines, Dutch magazines, to read. And he had promised me, I will take you out of this school at any cost. So finally, then he took me out of Nova College and to Badakhshani Lyceum there. This schakel class, they call it. You can go there. And for 2 years or for 3 years. And every time you make a test, then they give you 2 marks, one for VWO and one for HAVO. So at the end, with all my VWO marks, 6 plus, they gave me an advice of doing a HBO. Doing a HAVO, because that's better for me. So I got mad, and I teared the thing up and threw it on the ground, and I went to another school to do VWO, but I couldn't do that. It was York Smith. They had only 5 and 6, and I had to go to the 4 first. Long story short, they didn't accept me first, but then they said, now you have to make a test of Dutch, English, physics, and mathematics, and so I did that, and finally, I got to the. I got myself finally to the university. But not as a doctor. Along the way, many things changed. And I started with computer science, and with the intention of, I finished the computer science, I have a diploma, because I'm from Afghanistan. You always think of survival. I've always wanted to study philosophy and politics, but then back in Afghanistan, philosophy, you cannot earn anything. So I thought maybe it is better for me first to do the computer science and then to the philosophy and politics. Then I'm sure I will not, die of hunger later. But then along the way, almost finished with my politics, and at the day, I had a test of applied logic, and I was reading 3 books that day. I had 3 books with me. A History of God of Armstrong, the Antichrist of Nietzsche, and the book of the mathematics. And my teacher, while I was making the test, he said, when you are finished, you should come to me. Yeah? I have 2 minutes. Finally, okay, I went to the university, and finally I studied politics, I studied philosophy, and I ended up here. But life for me here in the Netherlands has not really been, many cultural shocks, of course. The first time my neighbor in Amsterdam, afterwards, only it took me 2 years, to get into her, and a very kind and beautiful lady. But in the beginning, the first time I saw her, I said hi. She looked at me and she didn't say anything. So I had to wait 2 days for my guide to come and to ask her. Go and ask if she's angry. She said, no, what happened? I said hi, and she said nothing back. And she said, do you know her? I said, no. She said, then why you say hi? I said, but then I didn't give up. I went to make cookies, like Afghan cookies, and I went to knock one other day, and she came up. I said, brought some cookies. She said, no, thank you. And I just didn't get it. And I had some kids I learned in the library, and we played along. And another day I went to knock to get him to go play. The mom opened the door. She says, we are eating, so come back later. Close the door. And I was like frozen. What the hell? Dude, you guys are eating. Like, ask me if I want to eat. I don't want to eat, but but anyway, so the peace of mind, maybe 1 minute? So there's going to be another session, Q&A, then I'll finish the story. Anyhow, the peace of mind, actually, I never got. And one of the shortest stories I write, the struggle and the journey in search of this peace of mind you will never get. There is no peace the moment you flee. You will never have peace. I didn't see my parents for 13 years, and I didn't know if they were alive or dead. In 2007, for the first time, I went back and I saw them, and they're all alive. But my brothers, the small kids, I've missed 13 years of their life. I didn't see them grow. I didn't see them, their misfortunes, everything. And people tell me, when he was 9, he did that. When he was 8, he did that. And that it's very painful. It's kind of, somebody just cut a part of you alive. You don't recognize your brothers, your sisters and stuff. So it's anyway. But it doesn't kill you, and it makes you strong. And as you can see, I'm sitting here. I'll leave you with one question, and he succeeded. We will be hearing a story, and she succeeded, and I did. But would that mean that everyone, would lead a successful life? I don't know. I was a kid, and I had a very small cultural baggage. Maybe that's why I was able to open up. Maybe that's why it was easier for me to let go of certain values, of certain cultural mindsets. But is everybody able to do that? And especially at any age? And no, actually, that's it. Thank you very much.